First and foremost, let me introduce us real quick. My name is Larry Meador. I'm the channel chief here with Datastream Cyber Insurance, and we have our good partner, Matt Thomas and Sonicwall on the phone to share some wisdom and knowledge and all of that good stuff with you guys today. Kind of talking about how to protect your clients both before and after an incident or breach, if you want to call it that. I try to dumb it down a little bit, just say an incident, because it can be a little bit of anything out there. But Sonicwall is a fantastic partner here with Datastream. And Matt, if you are ready, sir, I'm going to turn it over to you to share your part of this presentation.
Awesome. Yeah, no, thanks, Larry. And everyone out there, thank you for joining. I think, Larry and I are going to try to keep this as conversational as possible. For a number of the attendees, as we were looking at the registration, some of the Sonicwall piece will be semi-redundant, but there's some good new updates coming to some of our programs for MSPs that I wanted to touch on, and kind of drive the conversation and give some perspective on how we view cyber insurance, and how we kind of feel this continuum of the vendor, ourselves, Datastream, the insurance provider, you, the MSP, and then obviously the compliance related issues kind of tie together to ultimately support our mutual customers. So talking about, the front end of that spectrum is, what are we doing and what do we have available to you to protect your customers, on the front end? And sometimes I think it is nice to just look at some data, and this is, nothing that we're not all familiar with, but in terms of the cyber landscape right now and all the threats that we're seeing on the news every night and the incidents and events. Sonicwall, for many years now has put out a cyber threat report where we take a look at the landscape and based on all of the sensors we have in our network, we have a pretty robust set of data that we can give a very representative view of what's going on in the world in terms of the threat landscape. And in the last couple of years, we've actually been doing a mid-year refresh on this. And so for our MSP partners on the call, this front end, we're not going to go super in the weeds on the findings, but you'll have the ability to download this threat report. And I think even some of the slides today that we'll share, you can use in your own conversations to kind of set the table for the conversation around what you're doing from, automated prevention measures and the security services you're trying to implement at our customers, mutual customers, as well as kind of bridging the gap to the risk-driven discussion around cyber insurance. So moving ahead, just a little background on the Capture Threat Network. Sonicwall, for those of you that don't know, we've been in business for over 30 years, which is pretty powerful statement in the security space, right? Not all of our competition can say that. And one of the critical, benefits of being around that long is, not only our sprawl across the globe in terms of the number of sensors that we have in place, but it gives us time in the collection of malware data and samples that, the buzzwords today of machine learning and AI, we've been writing machine learning since the early 2000s. And one of the critical components of that is data, the amount of data you have and the amount of time that you can inform those algorithms. So our threat network, not only are we a part of a consortium of industry research organizations where we share intelligence, but again, to reiterate, over 1 million sensors globally. We're monitoring this every second of every day. The less than 24-hour response to never before seen vulnerabilities. And we'll highlight this never before seen piece as we move through the Sonicwall portion. We're looking at, our threat researchers are looking at over 140,000 malware samples every day to give it some perspective. And on a daily basis across, the Sonicwall ecosystem globally, we're blocking over 28 million attacks every single day. But when we look at the first half of 2022, the key findings we found from, the research and kind of plugging through this threat data, are listed here. I'm going to highlight a couple that I think are very timely in terms of the conversation we're going to be having, in the coming months. But as we had predicted, malware is on the rise. Ransomware, interestingly, is down for now, and we have some additional context I want to share around that. AI threat detection is up. Log4 shell vulnerabilities is still being exploited in the wild, which our MSP partners are very familiar with that. One that we really like to kind of hit on a little bit is the encrypted threats, beating standard defenses, and what Sonicwall is bringing to the table to help you combat that fact. IoT malware spiking globally as IoT devices and sensors are rapidly increasing. Cryptojacking reaching a record high, and attacks across non-standard ports holding steady. So here's some graphical representation of that data or those call outs. We saw actually a 23% decrease in ransomware, which we'll compare that to previous years to show that, just because it decreased, even though we predicted it, it's still pretty sizable problem to deal with. Malware attacks up 11%, intrusion attempts up 19%, cryptojacking, up 30%, IoT malware up significantly, and then the encrypted threats up, triple digits here. Malware piece up 11%. So we reached a 7-year low last year. And we saw that, global malware volume was already starting to rise in the second half. And the trends continued into this year with an 11% surge. No surprise to us, or I think anyone else in the market. The ransomware is the most interesting one. Well, this gets the most publicity, right? We actually saw a decrease, and part of that is driven by just the huge boom that we saw, in the previous couple of years in terms of the volume of ransomware. And some of the things that are driving the decrease in ransomware, I think, are interesting, right? Increased government sanctions, which we have listed here, supply chain deficiencies, which I want to touch on a little bit, how Sonicwall is addressing, the other side of the supply chain conversation. The drop in cryptocurrency prices is an interesting, driver to ransomware decrease, which is obviously logical. And then limited availability of needed infrastructure from the bad guys, right? And making it more difficult for cyber criminals to cash in on the ransomware today. As you see here, just because we had the decrease, we are still volume-wise higher than 2017, 2018, and 2019 as an example. So it's still a significant issue. It's not going away. Encrypted threats. So encrypted threats are malware sent over HTTPS, jumped 132% year to date. Why is this important, right? As more and more of our traffic is encrypted, what tools are we putting in place for our customers to help them and help us as the MSP, see, identify, and block those threats. So we'll talk a little bit about Sonicwall's ability to help you there. RTDMI detections rise dramatically. So this never before seen threat concept. We hang our hat on it, right? We in the last year discovered, or the first half of this year discovered, over 270,000 never before seen malware variants. So not the exact same as a 0-day vulnerability, but these are, variants of malware that, based on potential vulnerabilities that have just not been seen in the wild. And what's cool is every time we identify and block one of these never before seen variants using our real-time deep memory inspection engine that's in our cloud sandbox called Capture ATP, we actually, disperse that information back across the entire Sonicwall network, and also report that, being good cyber security citizen, report that back to the industry so that we can, share in that learning. But the key component for us is folks that are running Sonicwall. If you're one of the unlucky souls that, gets struck or gets attacked by one of these unknown variants, you have a protection mechanism in place, which I think is really important. This RTDMI engine is a patented technology that we built. And the brilliant thing is we talk about the platform is we actually have it built in to the entire portfolio of solutions. So very important to consider that as you're making your decisions moving forward across your security stack that you're taking to your customers. I want to share this here. You can go to Sonicwall Cyber Threat Report 2022. Just Google that or throw that in the search, and you'll be able to download the report. And we're also going to share this deck after the presentation. You can follow the link and download it from there. But there's a lot of good resources in there. And in terms of ways you can gather value, again, opportunities to spark discussion with your customers. We have some nice infographics and marketing tools that you can leverage to drive conversation. And if you're interested, we can actually join you in a webinar type environment, or even in direct customer conversations with you to kind of share the findings, to tee up some of the security related conversations you're looking to have. But jumping in, capture ATP with RTDMI, we always like to validate this stuff from the outside. ICSA Labs is a division of Verizon, where they actually will do hands-on testing of solutions, and we put our capture ATP up against the other brave souls that were willing to enter into the test. And the key component here, for 5 straight quarters, which is unheard of, we've garnered a perfect score. So that's 100% of the unknown threats detected with 0 false positives. So a key component for you from an operational perspective as an MSP is, okay, great, we have this really cool technology, but I turn it on and I'm going to be getting blown up with false positives and just kill my techs and my ticketing system. That's not the fact here with Capture ATP. So very important to point that out. And driving into the platform, right? Most of you on this call are familiar with our platform, but as you look, from the core network security and our next gen firewalls, and as we've expanded our portfolio into, a couple flavors of remote access, endpoint EDR protection, cloud security, both, virtual firewalls as well as cloud email, our wireless, our switching infrastructure, couple flavors of email security, we have the ability to leverage the Capture ATP engine behind the entire platform. And this is all informed by the work that our Capture Labs threat research team is building these defenses against the wide array of threats that we're seeing today. This is directly from our website, just kind of calling out the way that we break down our portfolio by category: network security, advanced threat protection, access security, email security, cloud, and endpoint security. So most of the folks on the call that are working with Sonicwall have been, made aware of some of this, but there's certainly an opportunity for some exploration. And, as we move into the next few weeks, any of those conversations you'd like to double click on, please reach out and we'll get that scheduled with our team. In terms of our MSSP program, which a number of the folks I saw in here are part of, basically this is the vehicle by way of, allowing you to take advantage of the platform we've built for you and to be able to offer, defense in depth, which can get very complex. So the opportunity to improve your operational efficiency, limiting the number of solutions and management consoles you're going to have to log into from an operational perspective, but then also packaging it in such a way that, you're transacting with us the way that you want to transact with your customers, right? On a monthly recurring per user basis. Equally important, right, is we know that introducing and building a new technology into your managed services stack is more than just turning it on, right? So enhanced access to our product teams and the support knowledge base we have to help assist you in building that into your stack and provide some guidance around reference architecture is something that comes along with our MSSP program. And partnerships with industry leaders is a focus for us in the next 12 to 18 months. And Datastream certainly fits that bill in terms of a very critical partner for you to have at your disposal and build a relationship with to help drive conversations around what your customers are doing in the insurance space. And from my perspective, right, I think the opportunity for you working with not only vendors like Sonicwall, but Datastream in particular is to, become a risk reduction consultant for your customers. Because you are the bridge to, helping protect them on the front end, but also provide guidance for, if something occurs, outside of all of our control, because there is no magic secret bullet, and no one can be 100% all the time, because unfortunately we have humans involved in this equation, right? So my recommendation is to leverage Datastream and Sonicwall expertise to drive customer risk down and pull through your security services, which I think Larry will touch on a little bit, the opportunity for Datastream and their team as a partner of yours to help really validate some of the requests that you've been making of your customers in terms of services and functionality that you would like to enable them with. We've seen it, a number of times now where it's almost a good cop, bad cop, right? They can come in and validate. You've been trying to talk them into doing multi-factor authentication or implement an EDR for some time, but it's kind of gone on deaf ears. Being able to show them through data how that could and potentially impact their insurability is pretty powerful data to have at your disposal. But at the end of the day, we're just trying to guide them and do what's right for them. And sometimes, we know that ignorance is no longer bliss, as it seemed to be not that long ago. From a risk reduction perspective, we view this ecosystem, which I touched on a little bit, really is a four-legged stool to support our mutual customers. So every one of your customers is a mutual customer of Sonicwall's, Datastream's, as well as, the compliance, partners that you may be working with. And the idea is to drive better outcomes, right? That overall risk reduction for our customers, being able to provide guidance not only on the front end of ways that are going to, help embolden and bolster their security posture, but it's also a way for you to reduce the risk of competitors wedging into your customers, right? In situations where, they have an audit or a compliance organization that happens to have ties to competing MSPs. And when they're in the door, you bet they're going to be trying to pitch their services, right? And they could, definitely be in a position to displace you based on the thought leadership that they're providing. So the ultimate message is, if you are not having the insurance discussion with your customers, somebody else is or will be very soon. And that's where I think, as Larry goes through, Datastream's partner program and kind of how they work with you as an MSP, that's going to become apparent that they're going to provide you with tools and opportunity to drive these conversations, which, again, to reiterate, going to help reduce risk for your customers, help you pull through your security services, and, effectively make you more valuable to your customer versus just another vendor that they have, supplying a service to them. So, excuse me, I'm going to flash this up here. Most of you have my contact information. If not, if you'd like any information, please reach out. A couple links here too. If by chance you're not part of our MSSP or Secure First Partner Program, you can apply following these links. And then also our Partner Development Inside Support link is here as well. One of my colleagues and I produced a short little YouTube video on highlighting our MSSP program. So if you got your phone handy, grab that QR code. You could check that out, make fun of us, shoot us emails, tell us how bad the video was. We'll get a kick out of that. So that's all I had, Larry, and I'm going to kick it to you. And if there's any questions, we can certainly address those now.
That sounds awesome, Matt. Thank you so much. You make it tough to follow you there, buddy. But we really appreciate the partnership we have with Sonicwall. And, this is really kind of the beginning of that partnership. We've been doing this for a couple of months now, and we're driving it deeper and deeper because of the data that Sonicwall has access to. We have a lot of data or access to cyber claims data over the past 5 or 10 years, and I'll kind of get into that as we go. Sonicwall does a heck of a job of supporting their partners, protecting the partners, SMB customers, all of that good stuff. And that's what we're here to do as well. So, Matt, thank you so much. And folks in the audience, if you've got any questions whatsoever, kind of type to, let me learn how to talk. Type them up over there in the chat area, and we'll monitor that and get those questions answered for you. But let me kind of take over here real quick. My name is Larry Meador. I am the channel chief here at Datastream Cyber Insurance. Been in the channel for a long time, about longer than I care to admit, but about 20 years. But I've only been with Datastream for about going on 8 months now. I joined in December of last year. So, I'm still learning a whole lot about the cyber insurance business, but so far, I have found it absolutely fascinating, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's fun being able to help protect people and different things like that. So let me kind of jump into it. Got a few slides will pop up here. First and foremost, we are not asking you to sell insurance, and there's a reason behind that, because insurance is a highly regulated industry, and for anybody to sell insurance, collect commission on insurance, different things like that, you got to be a licensed agent. So that's why we're asking you to partner with us and utilize Datastream as your resource for cyber insurance. You know, you've got great companies like Sonicwall that feed the MSPs with all types of information and fantastic products as well. But you know, the way we look at it, the MSPs, you guys are the cybersecurity experts out there. You're the ones that are on the front lines protecting the customers, but you need resources behind you. You know, like you've got Sonicwall, you've got other vendors out there that support you, and that's what we want to be. Is we want to be a resource on the insurance side, because all we do is cyber insurance. And you know, why are we even here talking about cyber insurance? And the numbers on the screen speak for themselves. And I'm not going to read every bullet point. You guys are more than capable of doing that. But obviously, there's been lots of SMBs that have reported attacks. Unfortunately, there's an awful lot of SMBs that just absolutely have no type of any type of cybersecurity defense plan. But you know, the numbers that are really scary is, you know, more than 3/4 of SMBs are not financially prepared to recover if they have some type of cyber incident. And you know, that should scare you to death, because imagine if all of a sudden all your clients got hit and 3/4 of them couldn't come back, just because they didn't have the financial resources to do so. So it puts you guys at risk as well as an MSP. And you know, one of the things that I think a lot of SMBs just really don't comprehend, they just don't pay much attention to it, or they think it's going to be a lot less worse than it really will be if they have an incident. And it's that bottom number. You know, in the SMB space, and what we're saying as an SMB is anybody under 500 employees, last year the average cost of a breach was $2.98 million. That's a lot of money. It's an awful lot of money. So unfortunately, many SMBs, and these are my words, I just kind of said, you know, they got their heads in the sand. And I hear this all the time when I talk with MSP partners. You know, they go out there and they tell these guys, hey, you need to take this seriously. As Matt was saying a few minutes ago, MFA, EDR, MDR, XDR, any of that stuff, cloud backups, all that good stuff. You need to get these things in place. But oftentimes we hear, you know, the SMBs going, we're not going to get attacked. We're too small. We're not important enough. It's too complex. It's too expensive. All of that good stuff. So, you know, as you can see here, 58% just don't think they're ever going to be targeted by cyber criminals. And the sad thing is, these are the guys that are getting targeted. It's the big companies, you know, the petroleum pipelines. You hear about that in the press. You hear about retailers getting hit. You hear about financial entities getting hit. Yes, they do get hit, and those are the ones that are in the press. But these days, you know, these threat actors, they're finding it hard on some of those larger companies to get in there. Yeah, if they get in, the payoff is huge. But now they've been able to automate many of the things that they're doing, and they're sitting on their living room couch and they're just throwing this script out there that just goes out and finds anybody that's unprotected and locks them up, and you know, collecting the ransomware, different things like that. It's become big business for these guys, and their targets are SMBs, and that's because almost half of these guys don't have any type of cybersecurity defense plan. We already know they don't think they're going to be targeted. And, you know, unfortunately, and I'm sure some of you in the audience can attest to this, many of these guys also don't provide cybersecurity training to their employees, and they should be doing all of these things. So, you know, we're here to kind of help you guys protect not only your clients, but in turn, by protecting your clients, it's going to help protect your revenue stream and your livelihood. So who is Datastream? I've never heard of Datastream, all of that good stuff. We are a cyber insurance only broker. We have over 30 cyber insurance carriers in our portfolio, and we are actually owned by one of the world's largest cyber reinsurers. And you guys are probably a lot smarter than I am, but before I was in the insurance business, I didn't know what the heck a reinsurer was, and I didn't really care what a reinsurer was. But a reinsurer insures other insurance companies. So we are owned by Envelop Risk. As a result, we do have those 30 carriers in our portfolio, which also gives us access to a lot of past cyber claims data, statistics, all of that good stuff. And we're using that data to kind of help make, it sounds cliche, we're trying to make the world a better place, especially for MSPs, because you guys bear a whole lot of risk out there. So that's who we are. And one of the questions that we often get is, why a specialist in cyber insurance? Why don't we just go, and this may be something you hear from your customers. I'm going to buy it from John down the street. He's my general liability broker. He's got my home insurance, my car insurance. He does my workers' comp insurance. And he told me he's now in cyber insurance as well. So I bought a policy from him. Well, not all, but most of the ones that we've come across, local agents just do not understand cybersecurity. They don't understand cyber insurance. They're not experts in this field, nor do they consult with experts like Matt and Sonicwall and other platforms and vendors out there so that they can understand the risk, so that they can understand the technology that helps.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
I got you
Matt,
now.
you still hear
You're
me?
back.
Wow, what just happened? Sorry, guys. I just got a message, streaming connection lost, but let me reshare my
There you
screen.
are.
We had a glitch in the matrix. But like I was saying, why a specialist? Most local brokers just don't understand this stuff. And this is not workers' comp insurance. This is not general liability. This is fairly new for a lot of people, even though it's actually been around since the 1990s. But it's really come into focus over the past 5, 6, 7, 8 years. So we specialize in cyber insurance, and we kind of get in the weeds on this stuff and help explain it to the SMBs. And we also help explain insurance to our MSP partners so that you can have educated conversations with your customers. So, one of the questions we often get, hey, what all does cyber insurance cover? And we don't have enough time to dig into everything, but these are some of the main points. Data breaches, the breach response and remediation, the IT forensics, and this is live box forensics. This is not dead box forensics. And what I mean by that is, they get in right away and they start taking a look and try to figure out what's going on, all of that good stuff, rather than just, hey, pull that box off the network. We'll take a look at it and see what the heck has happened. So, they're in there detecting this stuff as things are happening. Business interrupt. Can you hear me?
The
Matt?
last word I heard was business interruption, which was timely.
Matt with the rim shot. Yeah, so much for gigabit internet service coming in here. I don't know what's going on, but hopefully we still have everybody out there. Yeah, Matt, I think you could double as a comedian.
I'm
that was
good
pretty
for
good. Business interruption. There we go. That was nice. Now, Matt, if you pull anything on cyber extortion here, we're going to have a little bit of a problem, and I think some of your partners might have a little problem if you all of a sudden somehow place us under lockdown for ransomware.
Yeah.
But so yeah, obviously cyber extortion, ransomware, that's covered by cyber insurance as well. And since I seem to keep losing my stream here, I'm going to kind of speed up a little bit. And we kind of touched on this a few minutes ago, and Matt touched on it as well. I feel like he's seen this presentation and talked to me way too much, because I think he could probably do a better job than I do in presenting this information. But what's currently required to get cyber insurance? And this is kind of where we get to take that bad cop approach in a way. If you want to. And let me kind of explain here. So to get cyber insurance, there's essentially three real hard things that you need to have. And that's going to be multi-factor authentication of some type. That's going to be offsite or cloud backup. And the third bullet point down there about EDR, MDR, and XDR, that's now required by about 75, 80% of the carriers. Not all of them, but it is heading that way. They're all going to be requiring it. So we just automatically tell customers, if you don't have these three things, you're not going to get insured. If you've got 2 out of the 3, you might be able to get insured, but you really need to have all 3 of these things. So those are the 3 hard requirements right now. And hopefully my stream's still working. Again, we're cyber insurance only. We take a very consultative approach, and we try to make things fast and easy, which I'm going to jump into here real quick. And real quick, we are licensed in all 50 states, as well as Canada. Canada happened last month in July. The only exception to Canada right now, if any of you guys have any customers up there, we can't sell in Quebec yet, but that is coming. But like I said, we aim to make this process fast and easy. And one of the things that we do, I mean, you've got Sonicwall helping protect you. And think about it. You build a house, you buy a car, you still put insurance on there. God knows, we hope nothing happens to the house. We hope nothing happens to the car. But you want to minimize your risk if something does. And that's what cyber insurance is doing here. So no matter how good the technology you've got in place, Matt talked about that 4-legged stool, compliance, MSPs, Sonicwall, and cyber vendors, different things like that, and insurance. So that's the 4-legged stool here that's going to kind of really help protect your customers and protect you as well. So fast and easy, cyber insurance readiness assessment. This is a very quick and easy to run scan that we do. It's led by a series of about 15 very simple yes or no questions. Do you have MFA? Do you have cloud or offsite backup? Do you have MDR? Do you have a training protocol in place for your employees? Different things like that. So answer these yes, no questions. Then we run a surface scan or attack map that identifies any open ports, any common vulnerabilities that we see, different things like that. This next slide just kind of shows you what the report kind of looks like. And we do the little attack surface graph. We highlight all of the CVEs that we might see on the domain or subdomains that are connected to it. And these tie into the NIST database. This is not just us making stuff up. This ties into the NIST database. You can click on any of these, get right into the NIST database to learn more about what that particular vulnerability is and how severe it is, different things like that. So again, it's like a soft credit check. We're just taking a look. All we need is the customer's domain, and we're looking all the way up into the firewall. And then we depend on you guys to kind of tell us what's happening behind the firewall. And this is what any insurance company is going to do. They're always going to be doing this external scan. They do it at the time of application. They do it at renewal. Some of them do it like once a quarter just to see, mainly, are you doing patches? Are you doing stuff like that? Has anything popped up that the insurer might be concerned with? All right. So continuing on the fast and easy.
Real quick on that, Emery had a question in terms of the possibility for you to provide a copy of the 15-question assessment. And I think, it's kind of talking about how they can access the cyber readiness tool would be. Absolutely.
I will provide that. I've got everybody's email address because you had to register to come in here. So when we finish this up, I will send you a copy of the 15 questions. And I will also give you a copy of we've got a sample good company and bad company cyber insurance readiness assessment. So you can kind of take a look and see what it contains. And if you've got a couple of domains you want us to run, all you gotta do is drop me an email with the domain, like www.yahoo.com. I usually can have that done in 10 minutes and back out to you. So, but I will definitely provide a copy of that stuff. So,
yes, sir.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate that. And Emery, thank you. So going back to fast and easy, if any of you guys have helped any of your customers or done it yourself, you fill out a cyber insurance application. It ain't fun. We've seen 20-page applications. We've seen 30-page applications. And, we saw a 72-page application get sent to us by a customer saying, this is getting absolutely ludicrous. And yeah, who's got time to fill out that many questions? 72 pages worth. So what we've done is we've got a condensed universal application. Customer fills out that universal application and sends it to us. Then we do all the legwork. We go out there, contact all the carriers in our portfolio, and then we build and show them comparative quotes. And we typically can do this pretty quick. There's a couple of verticals out there that are a little bit tough that slow things down, but we usually try to have comparative quotes out to the customers within about 24 to 48 hours. Sometimes it takes just a little bit longer, but most of the time, and when I say most of the time, I'm talking probably 90% of the time, we can respond very quickly. I've even seen us, if somebody comes to us in the morning, fills out the application, we've been able to get quotes out to them that afternoon. So sometimes it happens really, really quick. Then aside from that universal application, we really kind of take a white glove approach here. And what I mean by that is the thing that we have seen is so many people just don't understand what's going on with cyber insurance, and they're just like, oh, cool, I got approved, I'm good. They may not be good. They may not have a really good policy in place. So we take a white glove approach to really explain the quotes that are in front of them, highlight the differences, and then ultimately we make a recommendation to them based off of their individual business requirements, because we don't feel that this is a one-size-fits-all. Here's a policy, boom, it works for you. It doesn't work that way. We try to take a look at the individual business requirements and then match or tailor a policy that's best going to fit their requirements. We're almost done here, folks, so promise we'll get you out of here on time, maybe even a little bit early. But what does all this look like in practice? Okay, you guys sound like you're doing a good thing, and we think we're doing a good thing. And the proof is in the pudding. And we've had MSPs bring us deals like these two that are on the screen. They brought us a municipality. Municipalities are typically pretty damn hard to insure. The municipality had their limits cut in half, yet their premium had doubled. And obviously, they weren't liking that whatsoever. MSP brought it to us. We were able to work with them. We were able to bring them a higher limit than what they had originally, as well as save them $15,000 a year. So instead of paying 25 grand, they were down to 10 grand. They had a higher limit than what they ever had before. Everybody's happy. We also had a pharma company come to us, pharmaceutical company. They were paying 30 grand a year for a $1 million limit. And the first thing we noticed was that $1 million limit was way lower than what they needed based off of how big of a company and how much revenue they did. So at the end of the day, we were able to provide them with a $3 million limit. So we raised the coverage up to what was suitable for that organization. And yet, even though we tripled the limit, we still lowered their cost by a third. So instead of a 30 grand cost, they were down to $19,000 annually. Now, I don't want those numbers to scare anyone. These were some pretty big customers that we were dealing with. What I've also seen, and this is not gospel for in any way, shape, or form, but SMBs, let's say $2 million in revenue, 5 to 10, maybe 15 employees in a vertical that's not hard to insure. I typically see premiums come in somewhere between, let's say, 2 to 6 grand a year. So that's kind of what you're looking at here. And we kind of look at this as a barbell investment strategy. We feel that the bulk of the investment should be in platforms and things like Sonicwall, firewalls, different things like that are really going to help protect you. And then 10% of the spend really goes towards the insurance. So just to kind of give you a ballpark on some of that stuff. So what's in it for our partners? Again, insurance, no matter what type of insurance you're talking about, it's a highly regulated industry. That's by law. You have to be an agent. You have to be a licensed agent to collect any type of commission on it. So we're really there to help add value. But what we're seeing happen is, and it's kind of what we thought was going to happen, but we're very pleased to see it happening even better than what we thought it would, is we kind of help you guys as one of my MSPs who's very vocal in the industry, he said, I don't even have to sell anymore. He said, I bring you guys into the process. You come in there and play that bad cop to the customer and say, Mr. Customer, you should listen to your MSP, because right now, without MFA, without offsite backup, you're uninsurable. At which point that customer then looks at the MSP and says, all right, you've been talking to me this for a couple of years. I didn't want to do it, but I get it. I got to get insurance now. We play that bad cop, and boom, it drives security spend right back to our MSP partners. So, it's an opportunity for increased cybersecurity sales for you guys, and typically it kind of accelerates things for you, things that you may have been trying to sell previously. We tailor that policy to fit the client's needs. We've got the technology audit tools. We've got sales team training resources. All of our partners get a dedicated partner success manager, as you're going to see on the next screen. Most importantly, you guys don't have time, typically, to dive into the weeds on this stuff. That's why we're here. We're a resource for you. We'll educate you and your sales team. We'll educate your customers. You want to put a webinar together for your customers and have us come on and educate them on cyber insurance? All you got to do is reach out. We are happy to do it. Everything I've talked about, everything I've shown, totally free. Our partner program is totally free. So this is my partner team. I kind of head up the partner team. I've got Auburn, and we've got East and West. And basically, if you live east of the Mississippi, you get to deal with Auburn. If you live west of the Mississippi River, that is, you get to deal with John. He's down in Austin. Auburn's down in Tampa, Florida. I'm in Dallas, Fort Worth here. We're a growing team, but right now we're the three that are kind of heading everything up on the partner side of the business. We'd love for you guys to become a partner with us. And I'm not fancy like Matt. I didn't build a QR code in here. I'm going to have to figure that one out. But I did put our link there. That's partners.datastreaminsurance.com. Again, totally free. There's no quotas. There's no commitment. There's no nothing. We're just asking you to partner with us, use us to be a resource to help get your customers insured. And I've been talking about the customers a lot. One thing I want to bring up for you guys real quick is we can also help MSPs get cyber insurance as well. Granted, you guys are probably in the toughest vertical out there right now. So the process takes a little bit longer and it can be a little bit more detailed. And that's not us, that's the carriers. We do that universal application. But when the carriers see that it's an MSP applying, they usually have a few different things that they want to ask questions on, different things like that. We have been successful in getting MSPs insurance, but like I said, it just takes a little bit longer for MSPs than it does your customers. So we're happy to help. And one thing I haven't mentioned that we do both for MSPs and your customers, and that is, I mentioned earlier, a lot of people, well, not a lot, but some people already have cyber insurance. And typically what we see is these people just buy it and they're like, oh, cool, I'm covered. They don't really know what they've got. They put it in the binder, put it on the shelf. And if an incident occurs, they often find out that either they're vastly underinsured or they haven't documented things that they attested to at the time of application. There's all kinds of things that can happen. So we offer a free cyber policy review for MSPs, for your customers. All you gotta do is contact us, send us that policy over. And look, we are very honest and transparent. We have to be. This is such a regulated industry. If somebody comes to us and they've got a fantastic cyber policy, we're going to be the first ones to tell them, this is a great policy. We probably can't do any better. So you guys stick with this. Come renewal time, if you want to take a look at some other options just to kind of get some comparisons, come back to us. We'll help you out. We'll be glad to do that. And one last thing that just to kind of educate you guys as you talk to your customers, a common misconception out there is that, once you're in a cyber policy, you're in that cyber policy until the expiration date. Just like your home insurance, just like your car insurance, you sign a contract. It's usually a one-year contract, all that good stuff. But if you go out there and find a better deal, well, you can cancel that contract, get a prorated refund, put the other policy into play, all of that good stuff. Same thing applies for cyber insurance. So if you've got customers out there, or if you yourself are out there with a policy that you're not happy with, your premiums have gone up or something like that, contact us. do that free cyber policy review. We'll do the cyber insurance assessment, and then we'll help in any way that we can on trying to find you a better policy at better rates. We're often successful, but hey, sometimes every once in a while, we'll just tell the customer, you've got a good policy, keep it. So, Matt, I think that's it for me, my friend. We love partners like Sonicwall and Matt. They're so easy to work with. They know what they're doing, and they educate us on a lot of this stuff. So it really is a collaborative approach in trying to help your customers get covered, to help SPs get covered. So anywho, that's what I said. I promise you guys I'd try to free up a little bit of time in your day. Happy to answer any questions whatsoever. You see my email up there. And Mr. Thomas, is there
I would encourage everyone on to reach out to Larry and the team and explore the partnership. It's very low friction, right, to get affiliated, and the tools that are available to you, much like I presented the opportunity to do a customer facing cyber threat report readout, right, to kind of spark conversations for you, right? Same thing can be done. Larry and his team have done for MSP partners. We've seen it, and it's just a great way to, ultimately we're all trying to sell more stuff, right? But to help kind of build that relationship with customers, offer them things of value outside of what you're selling them, right? To just tighten that relationship and be a consultant for them. So I would encourage them I would encourage them to encourage you to reach out and kind of explore that process. It's not painful at all. And as Larry mentioned, right, the anecdotes on, at the very least being a validation on decisions that you and your customers have made is of tremendous value, right? So yeah, check them out. And if you got any questions for me, look forward to speaking with you, and I appreciate you joining today. So.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, everybody. I appreciate you giving us an hour of your time. And obviously, you're in really good hands with Sonicwall. And we absolutely promise you we'll take good care of you, too, if you want to become part of our partner network.
Awesome. Thanks, Larry.